The annual company gala had always been nothing more than another duty on my calendar. Show up, fade into the background, offer polite smiles and handshakes, and watch Sarah, my wife, command the room. She was breathtaking that night in a deep navy dress, her hair falling in perfect curls, her confidence spilling out like sunlight through stained glass. As always, pride swelled in me just seeing her by my side. And then it happened, the moment that changed everything. Her boss, Daniel, tall and broad-shouldered, the kind of man who fed off attention, strode toward us wearing that rehearsed smirk of his. He barely acknowledged me before locking his gaze on Sarah. "You look stunning tonight," he said smoothly, extending his arm like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I'll be claiming you as my date this evening." The words hit me like ice water. Claim my date? Sarah gave a quick, uneasy laugh, clearly taken off guard. "Oh, Daniel," she replied, brushing it off like a harmless joke. But I caught the flicker in her eyes, the discomfort she tried to hide behind a forced smile. I stood there, jaw tightening, every instinct screaming at me. I wanted to shove him back, to tell everyone in the room that Sarah wasn't some accessory for her arrogant boss to flaunt. But instead, I stayed still, watching, calculating. Daniel draped his arm near her shoulder, not quite touching, but close enough to make his point. Around us, people let out nervous laughs. Glasses clinked, music swelled. And there I stood, invisible, erased. That's when clarity struck. I couldn't keep standing by, pretending respect didn't matter. Daniel thought he'd won with a bold move, but he had underestimated me. The quiet man in the corner who was about to show him where the line was drawn. I didn't speak. Not yet. I let him soak up the attention he craved. He thrived on dominance, on being the loudest voice in any room. What he didn't realize was that silence can be sharper than any blade, and I was sharpening mine. As the night went on, I watched him circle Sarah like a hawk. Every time she tried to step away, he found another excuse to pull her back into conversation. "Tell me about your latest project," he'd say, leaning in too close, his tone dripping with possessive charm. Sarah laughed politely, but her eyes darted to me, almost pleading for a lifeline. I met her gaze with a steady look, reminding her she wasn't alone, that I was right there, and I wasn't about to let this man humiliate us both. When the dinner announcements began, Daniel struck again. He pulled out Sarah's chair like he was some gallant gentleman, ignoring me entirely. "After all," he said loudly, raising his glass, "tonight's about celebrating our best people. And Sarah," he paused for effect, "isn't just the star of the team. She's the star of the night." The room erupted in applause and whistles. Sarah flushed, uncomfortable but forced a smile. I clenched my jaw as every eye turned to her and away from me. Enough was enough. I rose slowly, not in anger, but with the kind of calm that unsettles everyone who sees it. "Daniel," I said, my voice cutting through the noise, "you've made a mistake." The laughter dulled, glasses lowered, heads turned. He tilted his head, smirking like he'd already won another sparring match. "Oh, and what mistake is that?" I locked eyes with him, unflinching. "The mistake of assuming my wife needs another man to claim her. She doesn't. She already has one, and he's standing right here." The silence that followed was deafening. Daniel laughed. The kind of laugh men use when their power feels threatened, but they think they can bluff their way through. "Strong words," he said, swirling his drink. "But words don't win battles, do they?" I didn't flinch. I leaned forward slightly, lowering my voice so everyone had to lean in to hear. "You're right. Words don't win battles. Character does. Loyalty does. And that's something you've never understood." Under the table, Sarah's hand found mine, trembling but firm. That one small gesture was worth more than any applause. It was her silent way of saying she'd been waiting for me to stand, not with fists, but with resolve. The room stayed frozen. 100 pairs of eyes waited for Daniel's next move. But for the first time that evening, his smirk faltered, his confidence cracked. He glanced at Sarah, then back at me, realizing his usual charm had failed. I stood taller, my chair scraping against the marble floor. "This ends tonight," I said firmly. "You will respect my wife. Not because you're forced to, but because she's earned every ounce of her success without needing you to parade her around like a prize. Sarah rose beside me, her voice clear and steady now. Daniel, I'm grateful for the opportunities at work, but don't confuse my dedication with availability. I'm married. I chose him. And no amount of power you hold in the office changes that. Her tone left no room for argument. The audience that had once cheered his toast now murmured in quiet approval, their loyalty shifting as the balance of power tilted. Daniel raised his glass once more, but the arrogance was gone. To boundaries, he muttered, a hollow attempt at humor. Nobody laughed as Sarah and I walked out hand in hand. The noise of the banquet faded behind us. Outside, the night air was cool, grounding. She looked up at me, her eyes soft but resolute. Thank you, she whispered. I squeezed her hand. You don't have to thank me. You just have to know I'll always make my move when it matters most.